For me, art is a way of expression, a way of communicating my feelings, my emotions, but also my views of the world, how I personally, as an artist, perceive the world. Therefore, I view art as highly subjective. But at the same time, I don't see it only as a medium of expressing myself uh, only for the sake of it, but a way of communicating with the viewers. So when creating my art, I always take into consideration the viewer, how they're going to perceive my project and my artwork, and how they're going to be prompted to think about the topic that I'm communicating with them. Um, Therefore, with all of my artwork, I'm trying to represent a concept, an idea, and not only reflect on my feelings about these concepts, but also prompt the viewer to think about them and to think about their feelings and their emotions about these concepts. The process for creating my artwork in this course has been very interesting, in the sense that it was very experimentative. I had to learn a lot of techniques um, in order to communicate and in order to express myself. So I saw it as learning a language, a very powerful language that can tell many things that are hard to be expressed with words. Um, uh, Other than experimentative in the sense of finding my technique and finding how to uh, draw or how to create the artwork, the process of realizing what my artwork is going to mean and what I'm trying to express with my artwork, what my message is, and what my purpose is. Um, this process was very self-reflective and very introspective. It was very much about how I feel, about topics that concern me, about topics that keep me up at night, and expressing my view of the world, as I previously mentioned. But at the same time, it was challenging for me to find a way to um, prompt the viewers not only to see how I perceive the world, but to think about how they themselves perceive the world. So at the same time, my art is subjective and focused on myself, but focused as also on the viewer and prompting the viewer to think about what this means for themselves. Um, Therefore, all of my projects unintentionally turned out to be very much related to the human nature, to the human mind, um, and which was expressed and created in one way or another. Um, all of my projects look at different aspects of humans as individuals, humans as part of a society, humans as what makes them, what creates them, um, and how we perceive the world. So not only about humans internally, but humans in relation to the external world. With my artwork, um, I'm trying to, the message I'm trying to send is acknowledging, is that we should acknowledge the different views that people have, the different perspectives, and accept these different perspectives and worship people for these different perspectives and connect. This is one project, but at the same time this is connected to another project that I have, which is focused on the uniqueness of people and what makes people what they are, how they're made from every single bit of experience or thought that they have had, um, and encouraging this uniqueness, encouraging these different views as a part of a bigger society that works together, and that is driven by the differences within each that each person holds. Finally, um, I'm also trying to send a message that we should care about not only ourselves but our nature. We should watch out for what is influencing us, and both as individuals and as a society, we should be kind to ourselves and kind to our minds, both bodies and soul, and really pay attention on what we are consuming, what we are doing with ourselves, as this is very much connected to who we are becoming. Therefore, uh, as it can be seen, all of my projects are trying to represent pretty much abstract concepts that are psychological and uh, connected to the human mind, which was and it was very interesting for me to figure out a way of expressing these very um, unconcrete topics in a physical way with physical art, uh, that, as I already mentioned, is not there only to um, tell the viewers how I feel, but also to prompt them to think about these topics, and to prompt them to figure out for themselves who they are, who they wanna be, and what is influencing them in their views and in their uniqueness in their life.
Hi, my name is Tommy, and I am a 12th grade IB student currently following a course of IB Visual Arts. And today I'm going to be talking about the exhibition that took place in our school, which showed my and my classmates' artworks. And I'm also going to be covering up some questions regarding art as a medium for me, and also the process of creation of works throughout these 2 years in the IB course. Art for me is a place or a medium where I can express my feelings freely, sort of isolating myself from the outside world, where I can create something that does not follow the rights or wrongs that the world sort of sets for me. And outside of art, you can focus on what other people feel, or what is right, or what can cause damage or what cannot. But in art, what I feel is the most positive thing is that um, that all falls, and you can create freely without thinking about anything else other than yourself and your feelings and what it is that you want to create. In the process of creation of my arts, I focused on my thoughts and the ideas that I come up with, along with the IB guidelines and what it is that needs to be created. Also making a sort of combination between the two, and making pieces that I'm proud of and also that follow what I feel inside. Um, Specifically, the process of creation starts off with a broad idea that I come up with when thinking about nothing. So I try to sit myself down and think about nothing, and when I do that, the first thing that comes to mind sort of escalates onto the next, and then I come up with a bigger picture, a bigger idea, which I can then escalate into a project that I will portray, and that I now portray in the school as part of the exhibition. Throughout these 2 years, I have created a couple of works, and all of them have followed uh, a similar path while also maintaining very broad differences. More specifically, I tried to focus on time, as well as self discipline, self development. And these two aspects of life, time and self development, are ones that I deem to be very influential on the quality of life that we live, and also very important as a whole for life. So these two aspects are ones that I struggle with myself, and I liked to sort of put that in my artwork and work from the inside out, showing what it is that I'm feeling and showing what it is that I feel is important. Thank you.
Art for me is, of course, by the necessary definition and implementation of creativity and imagination to a craft like sculpting, painting, dancing, film, etc. However, to me personally, art has to have a meaning, whether it's like an emotional analysis or creative aesthetics. I think that there needs to be a purpose with art. There needs to be some kind of message, why you put that in the world, because it's a self-expression. And when you're expressing something, you have a desire to say something with it. For me, I want to put out my thoughts, feelings, and perspective out into my artworks and give it my whole soul and creative energy, as some people would call it, into the artwork. But I think it's more than that. It's also how other people interpret it and view it in their own stance and viewpoints. I think that art should be analyzed and personally interpreted to what you closely resonate with, which is what I strive to do. It's to create meaningful art, and it's to see art made by other people with a purpose, to analyze and to see it in newer perspectives, and maybe eventually create something better than that, which is my life goal as an artist. I would say that it is difficult in all areas, especially in a sense that you have to find the strength and motivation and passion to do your project, but also know what it is that you want to express through your artwork and how you can take the necessary steps to build to it. Of course, with the guidance of my teacher, Mariana, I still felt like it is my own responsibility to bring something that I would feel proud of with the techniques that I have learned, I have developed, and I have experimented throughout the entire process to bring forth the idea into real life. And I'm pretty pleasant with how everything has turned out in terms of my projects and my experimentation process. However, it takes the whole strength out of you. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for people that don't want to put the effort in something, because this is not just your skills in an aesthetic way. This is how you can make art that makes sense and makes purpose. My overall theme of my project are emotions and how I interpreted them and how other people interpret them as well. Each project has a different sort of message. With my first one being from the first project, what do you see and what do you feel? As you perceive me in one point, like one objectifying way, could be totally interpreted differently by just my appearance. To describe it better, what I'm wearing may affect your judgment of character, but also how does that judgment of character differentiates your perspective of how you feel towards me. In a sense, do you feel attracted by me, disgusted, alert, seduced, or have your feelings completely altered your perception of not only me, but of other women as well? Because the way I wanted to present myself in that picture is a unification of women as a whole. So it's more of a feminist project because I'm trying to dispel those misconceptions about what I wear shouldn't judge about who I am on the inside. With the second project, it's my box. A huge box which you can go inside and see my life in bits and pieces. of my very personal souvenirs, mementos, charms, tickets, all interpreted with notes and about what has happened at that point in life and what has built me as a person, which is basically asking the question when I turn around and self-reflect of who am I? It's also a question towards the viewer. Who am I? But also who are you? And what can you say about yourself? What has built you as a person? What emotions of nostalgia have you experienced? Nostalgia is a very funny feeling because it's the strongest emotion I have felt besides sadness, as sad as it sounds. But this ties in point with my third project, which is the topic of feeling fear and becoming a puppet of your fears. Because fear is controlling, and fear appears when you're at the last points of realization that you're under its control, because you act in fear unless you're consciously aware of it before it overconsumes you. Fear can come in many different emotions, and those emotions are expressed through color and those different interpretations. I don't want to become a puppet of my fears, but are you aware of your fears? Is what I'm trying to ask with my artwork. Do you want to be overconsumed by it, to become nothing but controlled? That is essentially what I wanted to present with my artworks.